When India gained independence on 15th August 1947, there were over 562 princely states ruled by their respective monarchs. The British, who ruled India for over 100 years, gave the princely states the option to either join India or stay independent. Most of the states chose to merge with India. And as India was becoming bigger and more powerful, a big princely state called the state of Hyderabad emerged right in the middle of India, and it chose to be independent. The state of Hyderabad was at that time the richest of the princely state in India. It was headed by a Muslim ruler named Mir Osman Ali Khan. He was called the Nizam. At that time, Mir Osman Ali Khan was the richest man in the world. By some estimates, he had a wealth equal to 2% of the US GDP. His major source of wealth was the Golconda mines, the only supplier of diamonds in the world at that time. Among them was Jacob Diamond. This diamond, valued at 61 million US dollars, was used as a paperweight by the Nizam. Mir Osman Ali Khan was given the title Faithful Ally of the British Crown for his generous funding to the British during World War I. During his 37-year rule, he introduced electricity, railways, airport, universities, hospitals, banks, and 2 major dams. He was known as the architect of modern Hyderabad. He was a progressive leader. But after India got independence, the Nizam chose not to join with India and hence did not sign the Instrument of Accession. The state of Hyderabad had a population which was 85% Hindus. On 29 November 1947, the Nizam signed an agreement called the Standstill Agreement with India. According to this agreement, the state of Hyderabad would remain independent and continue to control the defense, external affairs, and communication of the state. The most important condition of the agreement is that Hyderabad will not merge with Pakistan. Because of this agreement, India had to pull out all its troops positioned in the state. It looked like the Nizam had won. But soon after the agreement was signed, the Nizam began violating the terms and conditions of the Standstill Agreement. He secretly began approaching Pakistan to help him build an army to defend Hyderabad from India. He also raised a large all-Muslim paramilitary force called the Razakars. The Razakars were headed by a fanatical leader, Qasim Rezvi, an advocate by profession. The Razakars were created to maintain the Muslim rule of Hyderabad. The Razakars targeted Hindus as well as Muslims who supported the union with India. The Razakars committed many atrocities. The Razakars also attacked the communists who were launching a revolution in the state. However, the Nizam and his army of Razakars were not able to contain the communists, and they were running a parallel government constituting 4,000 villages in the state. The US warned India of a mass communist revolution spreading to every corner of the country. The Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, had every reasons to worry. He, along with his deputy, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, now had to take decisive action. At first, Nehru was reluctant to invade, fearing a military response by Pakistan. But India was unaware that Pakistan had no plans to use arms in Hyderabad, unlike Kashmir where it sent in its troops. On 31st August 1948, India gave an ultimatum to the Nizam to disband the Razakars and allow Indian troops to be stationed inside Hyderabad to maintain peace. This was outrightly rejected by the Nizam. War was now inevitable. The Indian Army launched Operation Polo. The Hyderabad State Army was headed by Major General El-Edroos, an Arab. His army consisted of 3 armored regiments, a horse cavalry regiment, 11 infantry battalions and artillery. This regular army had 6,000 men. This was supplemented by 18,000 poorly armed and trained irregulars. The total strength of the State Army of Hyderabad was 24,000. In addition to these, there were 200,000 Razakars. 25% of them had small arms, and the remaining carried swords and muzzle loaders. 55% of Hyderabad's army were Muslims. To attack Hyderabad, the Indian Army adopted the Godard Plan. This plan envisaged 2 main thrusts, one from Vijayawada in the east, which will be commanded by Major General A.A. Rudra, and the other from Solapur in the west, which will be commanded by Major General J.N. Chowdhury. The overall command of the operation was under Lieutenant General Rajendra Singh Ji. around 35,000 soldiers of the Indian Army would take part in Operation Polo. Major General Chowdhury's forces comprised of 4 task forces. First, the strike force, comprising a mix of fast-moving infantry, cavalry and light artillery. Second, the smash force, consisting of predominantly armored units. Third, the kill force, composed of infantry and engineering units. Fourth, the Veer force, which comprised infantry, anti-tank and engineering units. Major General Rudra's forces comprised of the 2nd and the 5th Gurkha Rifles, 1 squadron of the 17th Pune Horse, and a troop of the 19th Field Battalion, along with engineering and ancillary units. There are also 4 battalions to neutralize and protect communication lines. 2 squadrons of the Hawker Tempest aircraft were prepared for air support from the Pune base. At 4 a.m. on 13 September 1948, Operation Polo begins. The first battle was fought at Naldurg Fort on Solapur-Secunderabad Highway between the defending 1st Hyderabad Infantry and the attacking force of the 7th Brigade. Using speed and surprise, the 7th Brigade managed to secure the town of Naldurg. Meanwhile, a part of the smash force moved into the town of Jalkot, 8 km from Naldurg, at 900 hours, paving the way for the strike force unit's 9 Dogra motorized battalion to pass through. This armoured column reached the town of Umarga, 61 km inside Hyderabad, by 15:15 hours. Over here, they were overpowered by the Razakar units defending the town. Meanwhile, another column consisting of cavalry and infantry units attacked the town of Tuljapur. After a heavy fighting, about 200 Razakars surrendered. In the Eastern Front, Major General Rudra's forces attacked the town of Kodar. They came under heavy fire from the Humber armored cars and staghounds. But they braved the attacks, and not only did they take the town, they proceeded forward and captured the town of Mungala by afternoon. The 1st Mysore Infantry and the 5th Gurkha unit attacked and secured a sugar factory and a bridge in Hospet. Day 1 ended with Indian Army inflicting heavy damage to the Hyderabadis and capturing large tracts of their territory. The force that had camped at Umarga proceeded to the town of Rajeshwar, 48 km east. The Razakars set up well-entrenched ambush positions along the road. To clear this, the squadrons of Tempest were called in. The resulting airstrikes cleared the route and Rajeshwar was secured by afternoon. Meanwhile, at the same time, the 3rd and the 11th Gurkha Rifles and a squadron of the 8th Cavalry attacked Osmanabad and took the town after a heavy street combat with the Razakars, who determinedly resisted the Indians. A force under the command of Major General D.S. Brar attacked and captured the historic city of Aurangabad. They also proceeded and captured the city of Jalna in spite of stiff resistance from the Razakars. In the east, 1st Lancers, 5th Infantry and the 3rd and the 11th Gurkha Rifles approached the town of Suryapet. The hills in the area gave good protection to the Razakars. Airstrikes were called in to clear the route. Suryapet finally fell at midnight. The Hyderabadis took severe casualties in the clash. On day 3, the 3rd and the 11th Gurkha split, with one group moving to consolidating the capture of the town of Jalna and the other attacking and capturing Mominabad. In the east, the Indian Army moved on and captured Narkatpalli. By the end of day 3, the Hyderabadis were on the retreat. The task force under Lieutenant Colonel Ram Singh moved towards Zahirabad at dawn, but was slowed by a minefield which had to be cleared. Later, the forces encountered heavy gunfire from ambush positions. The Indians then brought in the 75mm guns and broke into the town. By day 5, the Indian Army entered Bidar. Meanwhile, in the east, the Indian forces captured the town of Chittial, which was just 60 kilometers from Hyderabad. By the morning of the 5th day of hostilities, it became clear that the Hyderabad Army and the Razakars have been routed on all fronts and with extremely heavy casualties. At 5 p.m. on 17 September, the Nizam announced a ceasefire, thus ending the armed action. On the same day, 17 September, the Nizam ordered Major General El-Edroos to surrender. He also ordered his Prime Minister and his cabinet to resign. On 18 September 4 p.m., Major General El-Edroos publicly surrendered to Major General J.N. Chowdhury. The Hyderabad State Army lost 807 men and approximately 1500 to 2000 Razakars were killed. The Indian Army lost less than 10 men. After the war, the Indian military arrested over 18,000 people, including the Razakars and the communists. The Indian government set up a special tribunal to prosecute these people. Qasim Razvi was convicted and jailed for 10 years from 1948 to 1957. After his release, he was asked to go to Pakistan. He agreed and Pakistan gave him asylum. The Indian government spared the Nizam, who continued to stay at the King Koti Palace until his death on 24th February 1967. If you like this video, please subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.